Just make sure. It appears we're live. We're good.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. My name is Sarah Shearer, and I'm the president of the Albany Public Library Board of Trustees, and I call our June meeting to order. First, we're going to go through roll call. Again, Sarah Shearer, president.
Tom McCarthy, Vice President for Finance.
Arlene Ray, Board Member.
Sarah Dallas, Board Member.
Bridget Pryor, Board Member.
Shari Goaz, Board Member.
Sean Smith, Board Treasurer.
Melanie Metzger, Interim Director.
Adam Stump, Director of Finance.
And Sam, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, Sam Kennedy, Board Clerk.
Thank you. Oh, and I see Sarah is also joining us. Sarah, if you just want to introduce yourself real quick.
Hi, my name's Sarah Masinski. I'm sorry I'm a little bit late. I am brand new to the board. This is my very second meeting.
Thanks, Sarah.
And Dr. Robinson's trying to get on now.
Oh, thank you. Give her a minute so she can introduce herself.
And I just did update the roll call list because I noticed we had Rebecca listed as the clerk, and so I updated that for Sam now.
Thank you. What was that, John?
I think we can move forward because she's still trying to get on, so.
Thank you.
Mhm.
And let's go to first public comment.
And there are no public comments at this time.
Oh, do you need to read the public comment information?
Sam, do you want to show that? That's the first slide.
Thank you. If anybody would like to make a public comment, please email or call the email or phone number listed on the screen. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is the consent agenda. I believe we have minutes from our April and May board meetings and also our special meeting we held in May, in addition to the operating check register and the capital fund check register. Is there a motion on the consent agenda?
I make a motion on the consent agenda to accept.
Thank you, Brigitte.
I second.
Thank you, Arlene. Any further discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all in favor, and who is recording the vote, and would you like us to do a roll call vote? One by one, or would you like us to all voice vote and hand raise?
We could do one by one, please.
Okay. I vote aye.
I vote aye.
Vote aye.
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 I'm going
yes.
to,
I see Jarre just muted. Sarah and then Jarre.
all right. I just said that I'm going to abstain for right now because I'm still struggling with getting into board meetings.
Jarre?
Sorry, I'm gonna mute the dogs.
Okay, motion carries. Thank you, everyone. Next up is finance.
Hello and good evening. The reports this month cover April 2022, which is 83% of the way through our 21-22 fiscal year. At the end of April, our total revenue was at 84% of the modified budget, and our total expenditures were at 81% of the modified budget. Revenue is trending slightly over what was budgeted, and expenditures are continuing to trend under budget. The interest income revenue line continues to show a negative due to the unrealized loss being included in that line. The actual amount of interest income earned for the year as of April 30th exceeded $70,000. So I'll turn it over to Adam.
Okay, thank you, Sean. So it continues to look likely that we will finish out the fiscal year under budget, though we still expect to have to utilize our fund balance in order to cover the excess of expenditures over revenue. Salary expenses remained relatively low for months, though we may see a marked increase at the beginning of the next fiscal year as we fill certain key vacancies. And professional services is another line that will likely finish the year significantly under budget, and we may see a marked increase here as well once union contract negotiations begin. That's it. If anyone has any questions on any of the reports, please feel free to ask. Thanks.
Thank you, Sean and Adam. Do trustees have any questions? Thank you. No, I think what you explained makes sense. Next item on the agenda is committee and liaison reports. So first item is trustees reporting out and upcoming events. And because we do have a new trustee with us, just an overview of what this item means is we discuss any interaction or involvement we have with the library or events that are coming up. Sarah Dallas, I see your hand raised.
Thank you. I have events to report out. I went to the art show in the Pine Hills branch and it was wonderful. And the Albany High musicians continued to awe me with their musical. It was just wonderful. It was a wonderful community gathering. It was nice to be with neighbors. Then I went to the foundation with the authors at the Bach branch, and that was also very lovely. And I have to show my embarrassment. I had no idea how lovely that garden space is. It was a little windy, but the authors were great, and it was a really nice turnout. So that was fun. And I'm going to share something else. I was sitting in a restaurant, and I started talking to the people next to me, and they said, the Albany Public Library saved our lives during the epidemic, during COVID, when they learned that everything was shutting down. They ran over to the Bach branch and took out all of the Star Trek videos that they could, and they parceled it out over the year of being homebound. And they just said it was just a wonderful ability to be able to watch Star Trek as a family living like a normal life. So that's my report.
Thank you, Sarah. And I've actually not yet made it to the art show, but that is on my list. I don't think I've missed one in a while. Other trustees? Oh, Sarah.
So I can join in on this one. I went to the bicycle weaving class at the Delaware branch and had a couple of friends meet me there. So it was a great time to get together with folks. The weather was not cooperative, so we were inside, which was a bit unfortunate. It was very well attended in that there were people who were waitlisted and couldn't make it in, as well as people that were there that had just gotten off the wait list that day. There was a lot of interest in it. It was a lot of fun. All the people that were there were nice and just happy to be there and be interacting in the situation.
Thank you. Do other trustees have anything to share? Either interactions or anything upcoming that you want to put on our radar? All right, thank you. Next item on the agenda is the Ad Hoc Strategic Plan Committee. I'm just going to pull that up because that was myself and Arlene. Jenna was not able to make it. So you may remember we appointed Mary Ellen Pichet as our strategic plan consultant. And so she presented to the strategic plan committee the proposed process and timeline for the strategic plan. I thought it was a sensible timeline and process. Mary Ellen is someone who has experience both with strategic plans and Albany Public Library. She is a past trustee of APL, so she was really ready to hit the ground running and knows a lot about the organization already. So she actually recommended that we have a discussion tonight about our mission statement, which is under new business, and we can discuss more when we get there. But she brought to our attention that some organizations, after going through the pandemic, find that maybe their mission shifts slightly. So it's just good to revisit and see, you know, was there anything else we picked up during the pandemic that we do now that we want to include in our mission statement? So just a revisit of it. And, you know, this can be a start of the conversation. You're more than welcome to come back to this conversation in the July board meeting as well. But I just wanted to get the ball rolling tonight on the advice of Mary Ellen. Oh, and I see we're now joined by Dr. Robinson. Does anybody have any questions for Arlene or I about the strategic plan committee meeting? Okay. Oh.
Hello.
Hey, Dr. Robinson.
Oh, I finally made it on.
No worries. Our next item is the executive director report.
Okay, and I will preface this with, if you noticed, I've been frantically looking around at screens and stuff. I just got notified that the water department is outside of our Delaware branch right now, and they're doing work, not at our branch, but on the city water system. So there is no water at Delaware. So the decision has been made to close the branch for the rest of the evening since we will not have restroom facilities available. They will keep me updated throughout the evening. We don't know why. We haven't gotten word from the water department why the water was shut off. So I will update everybody as soon as I hear any more information on that. But I did want to preface that that's what I have going on in the background here as well right now. To go over, oh, sure.
Sorry. I feel like we've had a lot of water issues lately. Has it been a couple branches?
So
Different
how,
situations?
correct. So how had the plumbing issue? And it turns out there was multiple, and I'll actually get to that a little bit in my executive summary, what was going on with that. But essentially, we had multiple items clogging up our toilets and plumbing systems, and the previous plumbing company that we were using was not fully cleaning out the main trap. The secondary plumbing company that we brought in found where they were all collecting and was able to clear it out. He said they said it was probably multiple months worth of material. It was clothing. So somebody had been flushing clothing down the toilets. So that was cleared up, and we actually haven't had an issue at house since. So that's a good thing. The Delaware issue, we don't know exactly what's going on. Like we said, it was the city turned off the water outside of the branch, and we don't know why, because it wasn't actually an internal issue at our branch. So I will jump into the executive summary here. For COVID-19, we are still updating, even though we're not in the state of emergency. We did have 13 staff members test positive during the month of May. So that was obviously our highest month throughout the pandemic. They were these illnesses were concentrated towards the beginning and middle of the month, and it did require us to shut down the Delaware branch. That's probably where you're remembering that we had to shut down that branch. So we did have to shut down the Delaware branch on Saturday, May 21st, due to a shortage of staff. We just had no staff at that building to run it for that day. We have seen, obviously, the numbers start to go back down. I'm, knock on wood, happy to say in the last 2 weeks, we have not had a positive case that has been presented to us. And we, like the county, are trending down in any other metrics with that. So we, for those of you who are keeping daily track of it, Albany County is now in the medium designation, and we came out of high last Friday. So we are now in the medium designation for COVID. I forget what the term is for that. It's not rates or whatnot, but so I did say and hope to see we exit the high transmission designation, and we're now into medium. Services and programs, we are seeing our numbers for our in-person programming steadily increase as we introduce more on-site programming. Thank you all for attending those. I feel bad, this was my first art show opening I missed. And it was because I was at Upper Hudson function instead. So I feel bad that I missed that as well, because I hear it was a fabulous event. Our friends and foundation are very happy to be back in building in person doing their Tuesday book talks. And it's been really great seeing their familiar faces, and a lot of them I haven't seen since the beginning of the pandemic. So it was wonderful seeing those people back in our branch, and those participation for those events have been steadily increasing as well. For operations, we did, as I mentioned, continue to see our plumbing issues at Howe, and we did have to close the branch on Friday, May 20th, due to a sewage backup in the lobby area. We were able to fix that problem and reopen the next morning. And we don't see we're hoping that fix remains and we don't see any more additional issues at that location for the foreseeable future. The AV upgrade at Washington Avenue hit one more snag, so it wasn't quite operational yet. We do have it operational as of yesterday. But now staff needs to be trained on it. So before we can fully incorporate it, we are having to train staff on how to use it. But from what I hear, it's pretty simple, and we're just going ahead with that now. Administration, APL, along with the Friends and Foundation and other community partners, participated in a press conference on Wednesday, May 11th, to announce the receiving of the Schmidt Futures Foundation's grant. This grant will allow us to expand our Wi-Fi partnership with the Albany Housing Authority. There were two parts of the grant, so that was one part of it. And the additional part is that there's the Capital Region Digital Inclusion Coalition is the full name of the group. And it is taking a holistic regional look at the barriers to digital equity and potential solutions across the region. So not just in Albany, but across the whole Capital District. And so we're very excited to be part of that. And we should have a report from that committee by early September, because that is that part of that grant project. I do want to mention, I totally forgot for some reason in my executive summary, I will put it in as an addendum, that we did attend the Upper Hudson annual meeting on Friday. That would have been May. Actually, it was the first in June.
June 3rd.
June 3rd. Friday, June 3rd. So technically I didn't miss it because it will probably go on next month for the June meeting. But we did receive the Upper Hudson's Award for Best Youth Program for our Amplified Voices and Branching Out program. And just as a reminder, they will be presenting that in a couple weeks at the ALA convention as well. So it will be presented because they received an award for that there as well. So we're very happy about those. We hired a new director of human resources and she started yesterday. So yay, I got that interim hat off my head. Her name is Kristen Connors. She began and she's jumping right in and she's doing a fabulous job already, and is very excited to be working with us. So hopefully we'll have her introduce herself at the next meeting. For statistics, Bach continues to outpace our pre-pandemic circulation numbers. So their circulation at Bach is actually higher than it was pre-pandemic, which is quite impressive. And then Delaware actually joined them this month in that designation in regards to their juvenile material. So the children's books at Delaware are circulating at a higher rate than they were pre-pandemic. So we're very excited to see that. I found it kind of interesting that 1/4 of our Wi-Fi usage across the district is from our partnership programs through Albany Housing Authority and Albany City Parks. So I think that's a pretty well-received number and well-received program. In our second month of having the meeting rooms and study rooms available to the public, we are seeing the numbers at over half of what they were pre-pandemic and continue to rise. So I liken this to our circulation. Our circulation took about a year to reach that halfway of pre-pandemic numbers, and we're hitting this metric already with our study room and meeting room use. So people are realizing that we're back open and they can come back to the library for traditional services. So that's a very good statistic to see. The one exception to that was Bach. So even though their circulation is high, their meeting room use is low. And that's predominantly because they're not using the study rooms because they're choosing to go outside instead, because it's been such a beautiful past month and they have such a beautiful outdoor space that people are like, oh, I don't want to sit in a room, I'll sit outside instead. So that might be these are why we don't always look strictly at numbers, because there's always a narrative to go along with them. So we always want to make sure we balance the two. And then for safety, we're actually excited. We have seen a steady decline in incidents since the beginning of the year. So the last 3 months and actually 5 months, we've seen a decrease in incidents over those months. So the vast majority, once again, of the incidents are nonviolent. I think we only had 1 or 2 violent incidents this month. And actually what I found interesting with the incidents is there's actually the incidents themselves are happening off-site, and people are coming into the library to seek help. So they're coming into the library saying, something happened off-site. I felt you guys were a safe space. Can you call the authorities for me? So I thought that was really interesting that we actually had several of those instances this month. So it's bad that these incidents are happening, but it's good to know that people are considering us a safe space to come to seek refuge. So that is the end of my executive summary. If anybody has any questions, I am willing to take them. There's no informational memos except for the fact that a verbal informational memo that we had to close the Delaware branch for the evening. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, Melanie. Moving on to new business, we have 2 discussion items tonight. The first is the video conferencing into meetings resolution that Bob drafted for us. Could somebody share their screen so we can view the language together, please? Melanie, you were muted if you said something earlier.
I said I will, and then I realized I had to get the file open first. So 1 second.
Not a problem.
Can everybody see that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So before we dive right into the language, Bob, would you mind just doing a recap for everyone, maybe the conversation we had, just reminding us. So we did discuss at the beginning of the meeting or before the meeting started that the executive order was extended again. So we have the option to meet virtually for the next 30 days. If you want to just take us through the public hearing process for this, and I'm trying to remember what else we discussed just generally about this resolution.
Sure, Sarah. And I'm driving, so my apologies. I'm not going to put video up. The resolution that you've got, you can use to implement this new version of video conferencing for public entities. As Sarah mentioned, because the executive order is in effect, this statute isn't doing much yet. It is designed for when that goes away to give public bodies like the library a little bit more flexibility in using video conferencing to support their meetings. Prior to the passage of this resolution or this new law, you could only have video conference participation in meetings if every location at which the meeting was going to be held was independently noticed as a location for the meeting. So for example, if a trustee was attending from Florida because they were on vacation, their hotel room in Florida would have to have been an appropriately noticed location for that that public meeting. And if some member of the public wanted to attend in that location, they would have had to been allowed to do that. It was more common that people would use it if they were sick, and so people's individual homes were being noticed as locations for public meetings. It wasn't that helpful a process. So this new statute does take away some of those restrictions. It does allow a little bit more participation by members from other locations, as long as there's one primary location of the meeting at which members of the public can attend and participate and view the entire meeting. It does say that the members who are not participating at that location, in other words, the ones that are video conferencing from other locations, if those places are not open to the public, then those individual members do not count towards the quorum of the meeting. So for example, if we had 7 trustees at one of the library branches and we had the video screen up so everybody could see all the participants and everyone was interactive, the 2 trustees that were participating from other locations would not count the quorum of the meeting. So if for some reason people in that meeting left and we lost the quorum, the meeting would have to stop even though those 2 people were online. Their votes do count. They can still count because they're full participants of the meeting, but it is a quorum issue. The other thing that it sets is it sets a very unclear definition for when you can actually invoke this. And I think we're either going to need to get some clarity from the legislature, which I don't suspect is coming, or some clarity from the Committee on Open Government or courts as to what the term extraordinary circumstances mean. They give a few examples of what could constitute those extraordinary circumstances, but when you look at those examples, they're kind of hard to meet. You know, they basically have to be unplanned events. So we have in this resolution added to that framework to sort of help decide what other extraordinary circumstances could be. But really what it comes down to is there's going to be a little bit of risk until this fleshes itself out as to whether a person is properly participating remotely or not. I will tell you, the other issue is the process to get someone into a meeting. Sarah had asked me whether we could shorten the 3-day period for notice that we're going to use video conferencing. And the answer is yes, that's a number that you guys can decide. But if you think of it from a practical perspective, if at 11 o'clock on Tuesday morning, Melody and staff get a message from a trustee saying, oh, I'm not going to be there tonight, I want a video conference in, the process that they have to go through to get that set up and make sure that it's all available, the technology is available at the primary location in one of the library branches is not easy. And so logistically, I am suggesting that you at least have some notice period necessary to hold a meeting partially by video conference. 3 days may be too long. You may want to go with 48 hours or something like that, but that is an issue that we discussed. So Sarah, I don't know if there's other things that you want me to talk about, but I think those are the ones that you and I went over, and I was hoping to give everybody just that background. Oh, actually, the one other thing.
You're cutting out, Bob. Bob, we can't catch any of that.
So one of the requirements
I'm hoping he's going to drive through it, but if I had to guess, I'd say he's trying to explain the hearing process because that was the other piece we talked about. And Bob recommended giving at least 14 days notice to the public prior to our hearing. He did say we could hold it prior to a board meeting. He said, one trustee could be present. The whole board doesn't have to be present. And we can hold it remotely or online. I'm hoping he's going to connect here. Oh, I think he dropped, right? I don't think I see him on right now.
Yeah, it appears he dropped.
Okay. Hopefully that was the piece he was discussing. I think that covers everything he and I discussed. So So tonight I really wanted the board's input on, I guess, two pieces of this. First, the notice requirement. How long do we think is reasonable notice? Because this is extenuating circumstances, it's usually illness, childcare, other things that kind of come up closer to a meeting. So that's why I thought 3 days was too far out, that you know, anyone who has one of these situations, they're typically going to occur closer to a meeting, but I do understand Bob's point in terms of the technical logistics of it all. Melanie, could you actually speak to that? Once the Washington Ave branch is set up, is that something that would be easier to set up, or how long do you think it would take the library to set up a hybrid meeting if a trustee wanted to remote in?
So I will speak to what we're hoping. It would be very easy to do so. What we're under the belief, like I said, I haven't been trained on the system yet, but we believe it would be similar to this, where one of the cameras would view the entire, because we would do any of these meetings. It's going to be our suggestion that we do all future in-person meetings at Washington Avenue for this purpose. With the new system, everybody in the room would be under one camera with one set of mics that's all integrated into the room. And then any additional person would be on a Zoom. Like, so we would do as, this would all be done as a Zoom meeting, live stream to the YouTube. And then, so it shouldn't be too difficult. It would just be making sure there was a monitor for the public who is in the room could see the people who are offsite. So we'd hope if we had like 24 hours notice, that should be plenty. Obviously the more notice we have, the better it would be, but we should be able to pull stuff together within 24 hours if the system is working the way it was designed to work.
Thank you for that. That information is very helpful. What was the other thing I was going to mention? Oh, right. Bob was also speaking about how a lot of organizations, everyone is still looking for guidance on this, either the legislature to come back and clarify a few things, or Committee on Open Government to provide additional guidance. I have heard that may be coming. So I'm not sure, you know, it may make sense to hold off on this instead of holding a hearing prior to the July board meeting, see if additional guidance comes in the next month. And then at the July meeting, maybe Bob will have an updated draft resolution for you all based on hopefully additional guidance that comes. That's just, I just wanted to throw that out. That's a possibility. And then I think the other concern, as we look at the time frame, you know, 1 day, 3 days before, is again the quorum requirement. So if it's 1 day before, I believe.
Sarah, I'm back if you can hear me.
Hi, Bob. Thank you. Did you just jump on?
There. No, I just got back on.
Okay. No, I was just saying the last part you were saying we couldn't hear. It was all garbled. Were you talking about the hearing?
Yeah, it was just to talk about the public hearing, which you have to do in order to adopt this. So it can either be done at.
Yep, go ahead, sorry.
Either be done at a board meeting, which is the easiest thing, or at a date other than the board meeting. I haven't been here. I literally am just back in the country about an hour ago. So you said that the executive order got extended?
Yes.
Okay, so no surprise there. I think that I would just suggest that you do this at the July board meeting, the public hearing. You convene a public hearing about 15 minutes before the board meeting starts. Any board members who want to attend can, but as long as there is one board member and Melanie available, that will open the hearing, and I'll give them a script to run that process. If any of the members want to comment, they'll do that. There'll be an open record. They can submit comments electronically as well. And then once that public meeting has been held, a public hearing has been held, at the board's next duly convened meeting, they can pass the resolution, which we would then do at the meeting that night.
So I have a question. Say guidance does come in the next month. The version of the resolution that we have at the public hearing, does that have to be the exact language the board votes on, or could we hold a public hearing and then if more guidance came and something needed to get updated at the last minute, could that be amended prior to voting?
I mean, it's really just depends on what that guidance is. I don't think it's a big deal. And if it was such a major change to something, we could just do the public hearing again in the future. But I wouldn't worry too much about that. I don't think you're going to get the kind of guidance that's going to be helpful between now and July, unfortunately.
Okay. So I think that covers everything. If trustees would like to weigh in on this, any part of the resolution or the process.
Yeah, I think doing this in July is okay. Yeah, and shortening the time period would also make sense. 24 hours is probably good. I wouldn't want to go any shorter than that.
I agree.
I agree as well. You can't guess an emergency 3 days ahead. Extenuating circumstances, sorry.
Oh, and Bob, just to catch you up while you were off, I asked Melanie about the new technology going in at Washington Ave branch, and she did say that is hopefully going to be an easier technology to utilize so that 24 hours would be feasible if all APL board meetings are held at the Washington Ave branch going forward.
Right, that was the big unknown. Agreed, if you're going to do it there, then it's an easier jump, right?
Yeah, I just wanted to let you know that we had that conversation.
I have one question. So if the governor, and she seems to be doing it once a month at the last minute, extends the executive order, which supersedes which? We have to follow the executive order.
Well, the executive order doesn't mandate anything. It allows, right? This statute will be the rule when the executive orders stop being extended. So getting this done and ready is a good idea in July, just in case those stop. I have no idea what her intention is on those executive orders, but I was not at all surprised to hear that this one got extended this month.
So what do you need from us, Sarah?
I guess if the board would like to go ahead with planning to vote on the resolution at the July board meeting, I guess we just need to make sure everyone is on the same page with that. And then when we're going to hold the public hearing, if that's going to be held prior to the board meeting, and that will, Bob said it would be preferred to notice that at least 14 days in advance.
And at the next meeting, it's also our annual meeting. So it would have to be in between the annual meeting and the board meeting.
No, the board meeting.
No, I think you'd do you do the public hearing beforehand, before either of the meetings.
We generally don't do anything extra for the annual meeting. It's usually just
the meeting in July.
Yeah.
By the way, the board should, if you're going to do that, someone should make a motion to set the date of the public hearing. and the time for the public hearing so that Melanie and staff can get it publicized.
How long would you recommend giving for the public hearing in terms of length? So if the July board meeting is 6 p.m., would we do a 5:30 public hearing?
No, I think 5:45 is plenty. If it runs long, the board meeting will just get delayed until it's over with.
I'd be happy to make that motion, Sarah, what Bob said.
Public hearing to be held on Tuesday, July, I've got this. 12th, thank you, at 5:45 p.m.
And I second.
For the purposes of discussing this resolution. And that was Dr. Robinson seconding. Thank you.
Can I?
Any further
I have a discussion. So if we can all do this remotely, if we choose to have the July meeting held remotely, would be like we're doing it now.
Yeah.
So that doesn't matter. Okay, thank you.
Can you clarify? Because I thought you said one board member did have to be in person.
Oh, I thought Sarah just asked if it could be done online.
It can be, but I want to get it clarified because I could have sworn Bob said one person has to be on site.
Yes, he did say one person. Can you clarify?
Oh no, you're breaking up again. You're unfortunately breaking up again, Bob.
Sounds like Charlie Brown's teacher.
Oh. Bob, if you can hear us, can you type in the chat?
Driving.
He's driving.
Oh, right. Not riding, driving.
Please don't start typing and on the phone and driving. That's just too much, Bob.
I see he's highlighted.
He's trying.
If it is the case that one person needs to be on site, is there a trustee who would be available to be on site prior to the July meeting? Okay. Okay, then if we're okay to go ahead with voting on this motion, and then we can get clarification when Bob comes back. Okay. So I can call on people. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I'm sorry, did you just say we're going to vote on it?
Just because I'm not sure when Bob is jumping back on. If we have people who can be on site just in case that is what it ends up being, then I think we're okay to vote on it and then get clarification from Bob when he comes back. I'm not sure how long we would have to wait otherwise.
So if I heard correctly, I thought I heard Bob's suggestion was that we vote on it in July. No?
We vote on the resolution in July. This is to vote to hold the hearing.
Okay.
Oh, there he is. Bob, can you hear us?
Hold on, still connected.
How about now, guys? Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay.
You got you.
Did you say one trustee has to be physically on site?
Yeah. The public hearing has to be in person. The meeting at which you pass the resolution can be done pursuant to the executive order. So you need to convene a public hearing at whatever location you want to. I would do the main branch, and at 15 minutes before the meeting is fine. If no one shows, that's great. We'll close the meeting and then the board meeting will start. If people show, they'll give their comments and it'll run as long as it needs to. If the board meeting needs to be delayed to allow the public meeting to conclude, that's what you would do.
Makes
Would
sense.
we like to designate someone now who will definitely be there? Or is this something we'd like to handle closer to the date? Because I saw a few hands of people who would be available.
I think it would be smart to designate the person now so that they can prepare with Melanie and I.
Okay.
Was that you saying, or you could, Arlene?
I can be there.
Thank you, Arlene. At this time, any further discussion on the motion to hold the hearing, or are we all set to vote on it? All right, I will just go down my screen. So I vote aye. Sarah Dallas. I see a hand. Arlene.
Aye.
Tom.
Aye.
Ja Wright. And Brigitte.
Aye.
Sarah Masinski.
Aye.
And Dr. Robinson.
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you. We will have a public hearing.
We'll get that posted by the end of the week.
Great. The second item under new business was just taking a look at the APL mission statement. Melanie, would you be able, or Sam, to share your screen just so we can see the mission statement?
Can I make a comment that that's not the mission statement?
Oh. Okay. I went on our website.
it's APL.
So if you can share your mission statement.
Yeah, here, I will share this. Our mission statement's pretty simple. Albany Public Library educates, entertains, and empowers our community.
Hey, Melanie, I know that is the brand that we've had out there, but the mission statement is the statement that's in the bylaws. It's the first statement of the bylaws. The board's never actually changed that.
I was informed otherwise.
I think the theme, or the motto, for lack of a better word, that you guys have talked about exists, but the actual mission is in the bylaws, at the top of the bylaws. It's never been amended. And I'm not sure the two things are inconsistent. There's just more words in the other one.
Yeah.
So I can pull the bylaws because again, I pulled my line from the website, so maybe this is it, but I just need to double check.
So just FYI, because this was a discussion I was having with Stephanie, our PIO, the mission was actually written by the Board of Trustees in 2009. And I guess it was just never amended in the bylaws. But that was this mission statement that the APL educates, entertains, and empowers our community has been used as the mission statement since 2009.
And I actually don't see a mission statement at all in our bylaws.
And Melanie, also that statement I think was I don't know whether it was revised to that or not, but not the last strategic planning time, but the time prior to that. I think it was some.
We've always had it as the mission statement. The vision statement has changed. And that was going to be our suggestion coming from staff and administration, is that we don't change the mission statement of the educate, entertains, and empowers, but we can modify the vision statement, and we'd be more than willing to do that because our whole brand is built around the mission statement of APL educates, entertains, and empowers the community. And it was because I said this happened before I came on board in 2013. I was informed that this was voted on by the board in 2009. This was actually developed between the board and the staff as part of the strategic plan at that point.
All right, so today, what was Mary Ellen hoping we would accomplish? Like, she wants to know if we are interested in doing more of this conversation in the future.
Yeah,
Or-
she just wanted to know where the board stands on the mission statement, if it's something, you know, we think is still an accurate representation of the library's services and what the library is currently providing, or if there's a need to update the mission statement due to a change in services during the pandemic, and maybe we do more now.
Okay.
But if this is the mission statement, I think it's fairly encompassing, and, you know, I like how broad it is because it captures.
Yeah, I've always really liked the educate, entertains, and empowers mission statement. But it sounds like one thing we need to do is just like find that old resolution in 2009, if it does exist, and make sure that, you know, our website reflects it and everything. And then maybe we can talk to Mary Ellen from there.
I think so too. I think we need to backtrack and see what actually was done and what wasn't done, and then move forward from there. Get a little history on it and move forward from there.
That makes sense. Thank you. I see Sarah Dallas's hand.
Don't we have to have our mission statement in our annual report to the state? No? I thought so. All right. I think, Brenda, you made an excellent point, and let's do that when we have more data and background information.
Thank you, Sarah. I see Jaree's hand.
Yeah, so could we also include our vision statement as well in this conversation, just so we're not doing double work? We can, you know, figure that all out at the same time.
I think that makes complete sense. I saw another hand for 2 seconds, and then it went down. I think that sounds like a solid plan. Do the research prior to the July board meeting and bring back the mission and vision statement to look at the same time. Any further discussion on this tonight?
When we do that, I think we're going to need to align our strategic. I think the difference is that our strategic plan was not aligned with the bylaws, and that's why we have a confusion. So whenever we finalize whatever our strategic plan is going to be, we're going to have to go back and revisit the bylaws and make sure that everything is completely aligned.
Thank you, Arlene. Good point.
So I thought that was going to be a part of that as well. Like, we're going to look at all that
just saying
together. Yeah. Okay.
All right.
And just FYI, because I know we somewhat discussed it with the strategic plan committee. If you go to our strategic plan, that our active or closing out strategic plan, it does list our mission statement on that as Albany Public Library educates, entertains, and empowers our community. We actually didn't have a vision statement this last go around. We had a value statement, but not officially a vision statement. So that might be, that might be where we're going, is we would develop a vision statement.
I guess we can pick this up when we get the history and move forward on it. Let's move on.
Oh, Jaree, I see your hand.
Yeah, I just wanted to, and the purpose is what Bob was, Bob, were you referencing the purpose in the bylaws?
I wasn't trying to, Jaree. I don't have them in front of me, but I thought that the first article was a statement of mission and then a statement of the purposes, but I don't have them.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, no, our first article is our name, and that we're a domestic education corporation chartered by the regents. And then it cites the section of law.
Yeah, I have it. I'm looking at it right now.
Yeah, no, I was letting Greg know because he doesn't have it in front of him. All right. Nope, I think that makes sense. Do the research and then come back and look at everything together at the July board meeting. Okay, so we do not need an executive session. Second, public comment. I guess have we received any public comment during the meeting?
I did not receive any. Sam, did you receive any? No public comments have been received.
Okay. And before I call for our final motion of the evening, I just wanted to go over this past year, since we're at the last meeting of our fiscal year. And I just wanted to remind everyone of everything we accomplished this year. I know it's been a long year and in some parts difficult, but we did accomplish a lot. We made 5 appointments this year. 5. That's not easy. Every time we appoint someone, that has many, many steps to the process. Deciding a job description, posting, sifting through applications and resumes, deciding who we're going to interview, scheduling interviews, conducting interviews, coming back together as a group and making a decision, extending an offer. They are all processes in and of themselves, and we made 5 appointments this year. Obviously, the big one is we appointed our next executive director, who will be joining us in August. That was an 8-month process led by our ad hoc strategic plan committee. So again, kudos to the committee, kudos to Brigitte, the chair, and Jarre and Donna, who is no longer with us as a trustee, but thank you to the committee for that process. We also appointed Melanie as our interim executive director, Sam as our board clerk, and we also appointed 2 consultants, an ED search consultant and a strategic plan consultant. In terms of nominations, the nominations committee was also busy this year. A couple months in, they appointed a trustee because we had an unexpected trustee absence. And then recently, I want to say this is a record, the nominations committee was able to get 10 candidates to run for office, double digits. I'm not sure if that has ever been done in the past. 10 candidates running for 4 trustee positions. And I think that's a huge accomplishment. It's so much interest in serving the library. And I think that's a great job. We navigated our way through not only a pandemic, but an endemic phase of a pandemic, which I believe was actually trickier these last couple months. We held our first board retreat since 2019. Since due to the pandemic, we weren't able to hold them for a couple years. We started work on our next strategic plan, and we received overwhelming community support on our first tax levy increase in 4 years, I believe. 4 years. So I just wanted to remind everyone and thank everyone for their work over this past year, because it's just been a lot. It's been a lot of work. It's been a lot of progress. And I appreciate everyone for their time and their service to the library. So thank you.
And I want to give a special shout out to our board members who are leaving us, leaving our service after 5 years of wonderful service with the organization. Sarah Scherer, our current president, Dr. Brenda Robinson, our current vice president, and Jenna Patera, who was unable to join us this evening, but she is serving as our current secretary. It's been a pleasure working with all of you. We've had wonderful, interesting conversations, and your insight into the minds of our community to help better our library has been quite a valuable resource, and I appreciate, and I hope I get to see and work with all of you in other aspects of the community throughout all of this, because it's been a pleasure and I don't want to lose those partnerships with any of you. I do want to extend an invite. It is our annual meeting, and we are going to be inviting past board members to come to it, as we always try to do, just to say hi to everybody. But I do want to invite the 4 of you, in addition to Donna, as well, or the 3 of you in addition to Donna, to come to the meeting, because we do have a token of our things. It's supply chain issues hit like everything else has, and we weren't able to get them together tonight, but we want to definitely give you a token of our appreciation at the July meeting. So please, if you can join us in person or even virtually, it would be wonderful, and we'd love to have you. So thank you all for everything, and thank you for being so supportive of me taking on this interim role. It's been a wild ride, and I couldn't have done it with all of your support. So thank you all very much for that.
Thank you.
Yes. Thank you guys.
And slight, I believe, Dr. Robinson, have you served 6 years?
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Yes, I served 2 terms, and one was a 1-year term, and it certainly has been a pleasure serving on this board. Very enlightening and very interesting. Certainly, I think service on this board reiterates the importance of trust, camaraderie, accountability, and really advocating for the community. And I think that is so important on boards like this. And I think about legacies and things that went on. I certainly hold North Albany Library as my legacy, standing up and really, advocating for keeping North Albany open. I think about that so much, and how important it is for people to actually serve on boards like APL, because APL does so much for the community. And I believe that's why we had 10 folks wake up and say, hey, I'm going to run for this library, because it is so important. It touches us all. It is the hub. And I know you guys are going to continue to do great work. It was a pleasure serving with my daughter for a year. She's very interesting, and thank you for your input. And all of you are just awesome, and I appreciate all the things that you bring to the board and will continue to bring to this board. And thank you, Melanie.
And Sarah, thank you. You did the yeoman's work. You kept us organized. You made sure everything happened. You put in the extra hours, and you lead a fabulous meeting. It's been a pleasure serving with you.
Thank you. Pleasure serving with you all as well. And with that, I think we're ready for our final motion of the evening.
And I'll do that. Motion. We're adjourned.
I'm going to second that. Any further discussion on the motion? Seeing none. We go to a vote. I'm going to go across my screen one last time. Sarah Dallas?
Aye, yes, yes.
I vote aye. Arlene?
Aye.
Tom?
Aye.
Jarrah? Brigitte?
Aye.
Sarah Misinsky?
Aye.
And Dr. Robinson. Motion carries and meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everybody.
That's a wrap.
Have a good night, everybody.
Yes, have a good night, guys.